So our affirmation this week, I give up negativity. And this week, as I say, was Lent, and it's sort of become a tradition in our fellowship to talk about the different things we give up for Lent, but from a new thought perspective. And so I thought this year, we are going to talk about something that is very pervasive, unfortunately, a lot of times in our lives, which is negativity. And indeed, the more that we eliminate negativity from our lives, whether it's words that we speak inadvertently or thoughts that come into our mind, and also sometimes we let people come into our lives who might be a little negative that maybe we should try to avoid or try to resolve and turn into more of a positive experience. Because when we have all this negativity around us, it blocks us. It creates a wall between us and the good that we know that we're entitled to as perfect children of God. So when our minds get clouded up with negativity, it can hinder our healing and our health. It can hinder our prosperity. It can hinder our good, positive relationships with those people around us. So we want to be aware that, and we'll do it for more than 40 days. We'll just do it forever and ever ad infinitum. Give up the negativity. And this week, the question is, do I see the positive in all things? Because this is a wonderful way to get rid of negativity, because a lot of times people will say, well, how do I get rid of the negativity? And the way to do that is to turn that around and see the positive in everything. So as you're going through your process this week, your chores and your work, ask yourself, do I see the positive in all things? And if you're answering that no, or even I don't know, stop and think about how every circumstance and situation could be turned around. How could you see that in a more positive light or in a more positive way so that you are not allowing negativity into your mind or into your thoughts, into your daily life? You're not allowing it to block your abundance. You're not letting that block your ability to receive all good things that we are supposed to. How many of us here today have ever found ourselves in a situation where unwittingly we are thinking negative thoughts? Maybe we are in a situation, we're in traffic and somebody's cut us off, or we're at work and somebody's creating a huge challenge for you, and before you know it, your mind is going into the negative things about this bad person that, or that bad person that. Or another thing I hear a lot frequently with people who I know we've introduced New Thought to, and they grasp the idea, but then the next 5 minutes after saying something positive, they're talking about how I can't afford that. I don't have the money for that. Oh, you know what? That person's going to be so mean and grumpy, I don't want to deal with them. Well, they're creating this negativity. They're letting this negativity in, and oftentimes it creates the situation in that negative way that they're affirming, because by saying, I can't afford that, you're affirming that you can't afford it. By saying, the boss is going to be so grumpy today, you're affirming that. So you're making that a reality. So in all things, give up negativity. Give up the negativity. And as challenging as it is, because I know this happens to me, certainly in work, in life, in social situations, you find yourself around a person who's not very positive, or you find yourself a little short in the checking account when you need something. You get to a point where that negativity does come into your mind, and it can be very, very pervasive. So these are the times where we need to stop and say, do I see the positive in all things? Am I seeing the positive in all things? Most people will repeat a bad experience, I don't know what the statistic is, 10 or 12 times, as opposed to a positive experience, which might get repeated only once or twice. And so that's a good example of how negativity gets so much steam. You know, it becomes that little snowball at the top of the hill. And it's good to stop and remember that seeing the positive in all things can eliminate that. We'll let that snowball melt before it gets to the bottom of the hill and crashes into your prosperity, or your good health, or your happiness, or your good relationship with your family, friends, and coworkers. Seeing the positive in all things definitely will be a good counteractive to the negativity. Because the reality is, we're all going to have a bad day, we're going to have a bad situation, there's going to be another driver on the road that frustrates us, or somebody that we have to deal with at the supermarket, or in other social situations that are going to be frustrating. And to combat that, rather than just let that negativity come to you, look for the positive side. Look for the positive side. See the positive in all things. And again, as you go through your week, when you ask yourself, do I see the positive in all things? If your answer isn't yes 100% enthusiastically yes, then stop and look and see, how can I be more positive? How can I see the positive? Because we know that there is a positive in all circumstances and all situations. Even if you're just there for a lesson in some bad place, there is a positive to it. I think I read a little quote on line this week that said something to that nature, that if you're going through a bad situation, you're just there to learn something. And if the bad situation isn't resolved yet, you haven't learned the lesson yet. So even in the worst of situations or circumstances where you are, look at the positive is, I'm learning something really wonderful and super in this. So as soon as I get to the other side, the problem's going to be resolved, and I'm going to be much more intelligent because of this. So as you're going through your week, ask yourself, do I see the positive in all things? And if you're not answering yes, then ask yourself why. How can I turn this negative connotation, these negative words, these negative ideas, this negative situation into a positive so that I'm not blocking my good? And the good news is that giving up negativity frees the mind, it frees the heart, and it frees the soul to receive all good things. When those thoughts, ideas, and words that block our access to abundance are removed, we become an open channel for great happiness, health, and prosperity. So when you find yourself in that challenging situation, just stop and say to yourself, I give up negativity right now. I open myself to receive right now. In all circumstances and all situations, open yourself to receive by eliminating the negative. Eliminate the negative, because we know abundance is everywhere. It's right there for us to receive. We just have to get rid of these blockages, which are negative thoughts, negative words, negative circumstances and situations. And it's unavoidable. We're all going to, unfortunately, one time or another find ourselves in a negative situation. So that's when we stop and turn it around and, what's the positive in this? What's the positive in this? Focus on that and free yourself to receive the abundance in all circumstances and all situations. And that is the good news, that we all have the option and the ability to live these wonderful lives of great abundance, great health, great happiness. We just have to let go of the negativity, see the positive in all circumstances and all situations.